Hi, good afternoon. My name is David Martinez, and I am the Training and Development Program Manager here at our organization. Thank you very much for sitting in for this really great and topical training video. We are going to be covering the time management method of time boxing specifically for healthcare managers. We will first introduce the topic of time boxing, then we will go through the activity step by step to keep it very simple and straightforward. And then at the very end, we will have time for reflections and discussion. So let's get started. So let's talk about the importance of having good time management skills. As healthcare managers, we balance multiple demands of varying importance day in and day out. We need to have the organizational skills to build the structures that are required for both accomplishing organizational strategies, but also for leading our teams. In order to effectively lead, we have to first be able to organize ourselves and be able to manage everything that we have to manage. Okay, let's really quickly go over our agenda for today. So we're going to start off by going over 2 learning objectives before jumping into the time boxing activity. We'll go step by step through time boxing so you get all the information that you need before going to our 2 reflection questions and then closing for the day. Okay, so we have 2 learning objectives to get through today. First, we're going to implement the time boxing method by completing a step-by-step training. We'll go through how to implement time boxing in detail so that you can successfully apply this time management method into your current workflow. Second, we will assess areas of self-improvement in time management and see how we feel going through the training. All right, let's get started with activity number 1, time boxing. It is very important before you get started with activity 1 to print out the weekly planner worksheet that is in the training document. So as soon as you get that printed, let's get going. Okay, so time boxing, what is it? Time boxing is one of many time management tools that healthcare managers can use to organize their time and to organize their day. In particular, time boxing helps focus on work that actually matters while boosting productivity and avoiding procrastination. So the way time boxing works, we are essentially assigning a specific amount of time to every task that we're looking to complete for the day. By putting a finite limit on each task that we're doing, it really helps us focus on each task individually and also helps us move from task to task throughout our day. By putting everything in boxes, this avoids us focusing too much on one single task and kind of wasting all of our time on that one thing. So this is a flexible tool that can be used by anyone. So this sounds a little bit rigid, putting all of your tasks into very specific time slots. There is some flexibility in how you do it. So don't be daunted by it. I'll give you a little bit more nuance and detail. I do also want to add that before you do this activity, go through the readings. There's a lot of great information that gives background on how to successfully use time boxing. So let us go on forward. Okay, so I talked a little bit about the benefits of time boxing, but I kind of want to do a deeper dive on why you should really think about employing this method into your daily workflow. So I have 4 points here that I want to talk about, and one of the biggest benefits of time boxing is that we can really enhance our focus on our work throughout the day. Since we are setting clear boundaries on the tasks that we have, we're minimizing distractions for any other tasks that we might be thinking about. And instead of kind of thinking about everything at once, we break everything apart and we tackle our day piece by piece. Also, by breaking our tasks into these small boxes, we're staying engaged on this one singular task that we have at hand. The second point that's also really great is increased motivation. Sometimes when we go to our work day, we just have this massive list of things that we have to do. It's kind of difficult to get that satisfaction of completing things as we get through our day. But if we schedule ourselves out and know exactly the order of tasks that we have to do, we get some motivation going down that list and really knocking every task out of the way. Another great benefit is that by time boxing, we're getting better time awareness. If we know all the tasks that we have to do for the day, we kind of get an idea of how long we are actually spending on each activity. So say, for example, I want to limit the amount of time that I take reading and answering emails. I could choose how long to set my time for emails. And if I go over that, I start getting an idea of how much time I actually need for this one thing. So this allows me to plan more realistically in the future and just overall schedule better. And then the last point that I want to talk about that is also really important. By really organizing our day, we are reducing the level of stress that we are subjecting ourselves to. We are really preventing any one task from dragging on indefinitely and just sucking up all of our time and energy. And by really putting these finite limits on how much time we're willing to give to a task, we're alleviating a lot of stress that comes with open-ended work. One of the worst feelings of just being a really busy healthcare manager is having that feeling of getting absorbed into this one activity that spirals out of control. And the next thing we know, half of our day is gone and we still have this mountain of lists to get through. So this really helps limit that kind of stress. Okay, so now that we gave a little bit of an introduction on why we should use time boxing, we're going to jump straight into the step-by-step training. So the first step to time boxing is actually identifying the tasks that you want to complete. So these could be all the tasks that you have scheduled out for yourself for the entire day. It's a great idea in the beginning of your morning before you jump into your work. Take some time in identifying what you want to accomplish that day. If we don't have any type of structure, we could pretty much spiral out and work on anything and everything and really lose focus on our day. So when we are identifying the tasks that we want to complete, they could be really specific tasks. For example, answer emails, create a slide deck, write a letter, or they could be more loosely defined. And having more loosely defined tasks gives you some flexibility so you don't have a fully rigid structure throughout your day if that's something that's a little bit daunting. For example, some of the more loosely defined time boxes that you could make could be, for example, creative work, where you just give yourself a block of time to work on anything creative. Or you could have another time box like planning, for example, where it's just planning. You could choose to define that however you want, but it gives you the opportunity to kind of work at your own pace on something that you want to do that day. So for our learning activity, we are going to select 4 tasks. So think about what you would like to accomplish. And when you're doing this training activity, it's a good idea to actually use this opportunity to prepare yourself for the work week coming ahead. So say right now it's Friday, I could do this planning and get myself ready to go for Monday after the weekend. So again, keep that in mind. What are some tasks that you would like to finish or get through starting Monday and then throughout the week? So the 4 that I identified here, I'm putting a study, email, recommendation letter, and creative work. Those are going to be my 4 tasks. Next, very simple, I'm going to choose how much time I'm going to give each task. So for studying, I want to study for 1 hour. I want to email no more than 1 hour. I'm going to give myself 2 hours to write a recommendation letter. And I'm going to give myself 1.5 hours for just creative work. So after I assign the time that I want, I'm going to actually schedule it into my calendar. So here I have a little snippet of my digital calendar. You could kind of see that on Monday and Tuesday, I blocked off my study time in the beginning, blocked off my email time, and then split the other 2 tasks throughout the day. At the very bottom, you'll see I also put time for lunch. So you want to make sure that you're also incorporating your breaks into your schedule. And finally, the last step is to actually use and assess your new time boxing schedule. So we could make this Really gorgeous schedule, put all of our time boxes, but if we don't try to stick through the time limits that we give ourselves, we're just going to get bogged down in the same tasks that we usually do. So the beauty in this method is really holding yourself accountable to trying to finish within the limit as best as you can. So the first piece of advice I'll give you on using this method is to maintain the attitude of a sprinter. So what I mean about having a sprinter mindset is to focus on short bursts of effort to complete each task. So if you give yourself an hour to do all of your emails, in that hour you want to be focused on doing just that. If you start emailing and then you get distracted by another task or you do something else, that's when everything starts to fall apart. So really keep that goal in mind and try to be as present as you can to get through it within the limit. Over time, if you find yourself kind of going past and not having enough time, then that's when the learning process happens, where you're like, oh, well, I've been having a hard time finishing my emails within that hour. I'm going to increase my time box for emails to an hour and a half and see if that's better. That way, this time boxing method is a learning process and not just a process that we do and forget about. Again, having that sprinter mindset helps us really move from task to task. So also notice on how you feel kind of leaving a task at rest and moving on to other things as you go through your day. So another important thing I want to add is that you should be rewarding yourself and taking breaks within time boxes. It's really easy to just make a list of time boxes and try to burn through everything as fast as you can, and then you end up exhausting yourself. So to maintain that stamina throughout the whole day, take breaks in between, take a walk, make sure you have your lunch, take mental breaks. That way you're really able to make it through the long run. So really quickly, I'll show you some examples on how your time box schedule could look. This is off of my Outlook calendar, so a digital version, and you see where I blocked off my study time, my email time. The important thing to note here is that each time box I could even break down into smaller pieces. For example, my email hour between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. I give the first 30 minutes to this LOA activity that I have to do, and then the second half to these non-compliance emails that I have to send. So you could further break down each box. Sometimes having a whole hour chunk for something could make you lose a little bit of focus, so kind of breaking it down further keeps that focus going. I did that as well for this creative work green block. On Tuesday, I just had a big 1.5 hour block for creative work, but on Wednesday I kind of broke it down into 3 30-minute pieces. So I have creative work design for that first half hour, then creative work do a print shop order for that second half hour, and then the last half hour I'm dedicating to publishing. So you can kind of break down anything further and get as granular as you want. The second example is a little less glamorous. This is the example of time boxing using the weekly planner paper worksheet. This is actually a method that I prefer. I personally like to write and use a pen. It just helps me remember everything a lot better. So this is an example that I would use. Again, very similar structure. I have my study blocks in the mornings, followed by emails and my other activities. If you notice, I leave some space open. This kind of allows you to, as you go out throughout your day, you could kind of add time boxes as needed, kind of give yourself some flexibility there as well. Okay, so that was concluding the step-by-step activity. I moved through it rather quickly, but we're going to move through activity 2 also pretty quickly. And these are just reflections on how we feel using the time boxing method and see if there's anything that we could extract from this training. So the first reflection prompt, super simple, is time boxing a time management method technique that you see yourself applying to your work schedule? Why or why not? I definitely recommend giving it a go. I personally really like this method and incorporate it into my daily work. So give it a try. Maybe there's another method that you like better, but really sit down with this reflection. And then reflection 2, it's kind of a deeper dive into your personal assessment of your time management skill. And we're asking generally if you're satisfied with your ability to manage time. For some people, this is a pretty stressful point in their work life and something they want to improve. Other people have a better handle on their time management. So this is a good opportunity to kind of take inventory, be honest with yourself, and this is a place of growth. So knowing where you are, you could kind of see better where you would like to be, and hopefully tools and skills like time boxing can help steer you in that direction. All right, and that's pretty much it for this training. If I'm going to leave you with some closing thoughts, is that time management skills are a lifelong learning process. There are many tools that we can use and try and incorporate into our work life and see what works best for us. But if I were to give you a recommendation, is just kind of take a look out there, see what tools other healthcare managers use and stand by, and try incorporating them into your life. Time boxing is one of those skills that is very popular and widely used and highly customizable. So in one way or another, it's a good idea to really practice. And the importance of having these effective time management skills helps us prioritize objectives that really matter most to us. And that's not just for your work life, but also your personal life. If you're able to organize what things matter to you, you're able to discard any of those things that don't matter as much and have an overall more fulfilling life and help you lead your teams much better and reach organizational goals. So if all this time management stuff sounds a little bit rigid, just know there's a lot of flexibility in it. And at the end, I really do believe that it alleviates a lot of stress in the long run. So it's definitely worth investing into. And no matter where you are in your career, everyone has the capacity to improve their time management skills. So wherever you are, just think about the smart application of knowledge and always try to practice something new. So that's it for today. I really appreciate having you here with me, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you.